I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. This podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I'm also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So that's when that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for during the for the daytime. So stop this. Stop. Okay, what I'm going to talk about today is something that's important to me. I use Miami-Dade paratransit or Miami-Dade STS. It's something that I don't agree with and something I do not like. Okay, when you call and complain, you can call the county and file a complaint. But the problem is that sometimes they respond in what I consider inappropriate ways. I'll tell you, okay, they're very fast to blame a driver. And sometimes it's their fault. Sometimes the drivers do things that's their fault, like safety issues, etc. But sometimes things are not their fault. On the 16th of this month, I went to a place that I go to do volunteer work sometimes. And I was going there for a class. So I told them this is how to get in. I explained to them how to get in so they could put it on the notes. The person did not put it on the notes. So so the drivers got stuck. But the problem with this is being in the vehicle, I'm able to call and call security number, and they let the driver through on my access. By I saying I need access to, and I tell them why, and they go through. But when I'm not in a vehicle, I'm not allowed to call, because that could be a safety concern, because people can tell you, oh, it's this driver, and you don't know about it, even though it's a marked vehicle. So I let the driver in the morning. He did not know how to get in because the instructions were not placed. I called the instructions in, and I made sure that they were put in. So but the second driver at night, in the afternoon at 5 o'clock, had major issues. He was stuck behind the gate. I couldn't get a hold of him. He couldn't get a hold of me. He called my family a few times. And that caused my mom to be worried and whatever. And I walk in the door, and my dad starts complaining to me when I have no control of what's going on. So one of the things I did is when I was on the field, when I was there, somebody from the county, from the transit place, called me, and I told them, hey, the guy's stuck behind the gate. Can you call him and tell him how to get in? Oh, no, I can't do that because he speaks no English. I'm like, God, this is terrible. So finally, someone that I know went and opened the gate by swiping their ID, and got in. But okay, that's the background story. So I'm going to file a complaint. So I complained, and they filed a complaint. So they told the second guy to follow instructions, blah, 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 the first guy. But how could he follow instructions if the instructions were not put on his manifest? I know that for a fact because I saw the manifest. There were no notes underneath the address. I'm like, this is not good. So I call and I file complaints. The first complaint, okay, they say that. So yesterday being Thursday, I call back, and mysteriously they call me, and a couple of hours later, I'm like, oh, what's going on here? So what they tell me is that they couldn't find the recordings. To me, that's unacceptable, because how could they not find a recording? My feeling is, and my belief is, that when you say something about an agent on the phone, they obviously either somebody's not doing their job, or something is not being fixed, because they constantly say this. It's gotten to the point where I feel it's an excuse. They're making excuses for these agents. And another thing I don't like is the fact that they're supposed to give their name. You think they're not doing that either. I'm not going to update you more on this one, but I'm going to do something that I found works. I had my mom help me and look up the county commissioner's phone number. I will definitely call my county commissioner, because this is unacceptable. What about if you don't know how to get in, or I would have gotten stuck because somebody wasn't there to open the gate for the driver? That would have been terrible. I would have been stuck there for hours. And that's nobody's fault but them. Their fault. After I told them, hey, you have to do this, and they're not doing it. If I tell them to go in and get instructions, they're supposed to write them up. Make sure that they get on the manifest. It is not my responsibility to get somebody to swipe their card so they can come in. No, it is paratransit's responsibility to get the instructions correct and make the instructions. And also, if somebody can't speak English, don't send them to a place where it's secured by security. Don't do that. There are other drivers. Don't just do that. That's not appropriate in my opinion either. I'm also going to communicate, when I talk to the county commissioner, I'm also going to communicate that. It's nothing that I don't blame the driver for the issues, but the paratransit system needs to change. This needs to stop, because this needs to end. Because what happens if I'm a nonverbal autistic, which obviously I'm not? What happens in that case? It makes no sense. What happens for a blind person that can't see what's going on? A lot of problems can happen, and I don't agree with this. This is something that should not occur. So due to the fact that this should not occur, I'm going to contact my county commissioner and have them investigate this, because it's not appropriate for them to say, oh, I can't find the file, I can't find the audio. That's not appropriate. I don't feel that's appropriate. I feel that's wrong. I feel that that's bad service. And I feel that that's how they're, and also I don't agree with the fact that they are allowing them not to give their name, and that's not appropriate. I'm sorry, and all these things can be avoided by one thing. I could record it when I'm home. Obviously, here I have a thing where I can record a phone call, and I can take that file and send it to them. But they don't even want. I don't think they even want that. But that won't resolve my problem, because then in the field I can't do this. You can see how I feel. I'm not happy with this. This is not appropriate. This trip, and for them to say, we can't find the file. That to me is BS. You know what the word I'm trying to use on that. But yes, it is not correct. It is inappropriate. It is unprofessional. And I think that this service needs to change, and things need to change. I am definitely going to communicate with my commissioner, because I realize that this is not appropriate. I don't think it's correct that they have to do this. At least have people that speak English. That to me is not acceptable. That if somebody calls me and say, oh, they're behind the gate, I can't give them an instruction, that's not acceptable either. That's something they should not do. It's not acceptable. None of this is acceptable. I can deal with late vehicles. I don't like it, but I'll deal with it. But not that. It's not acceptable to me when they don't have the appropriate person. Well, I mean, if it's English, if I'm going to a secure place, there should be They should speak English enough to call a security guard when I tell them to. That's not appropriate. But that's, I don't know, maybe it's because they don't have people. I don't understand it. But they should not hire people that don't speak English. I don't feel that's appropriate. That's one of those things that I want to talk to the county about. When I mean the county commissioner, not them, because all they're going to tell me is, oh, I'm sorry, this is not appropriate. I'm going to tell them that the service needs to change. And there's so many other situations right there. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episodes will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice. Because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice. But I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. My email, if you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and a few other places where I put my episodes out on Facebook too. With that, thank you for listening.